Here we have three vehicles: a helicopter, an aeroplane and a rocket. The first one to take off is a helicopter. It's going to take off vertically up this way. When it gets to the top, the pilot is still upright, and up is always up. When it gets to the top, it's going to fly horizontally. And when it gets over to here, the pilot is always up. Up is always up. Then the helicopter is going to come straight down vertically again. When it gets here, back on the ground, the pilot is still the right way up. Second up is the aeroplane, and it's going to take off really steep at an angle like this. And when it's halfway here or anywhere along here, just because he's going up really steep doesn't mean that upwards becomes this way. Upwards is still that way. When he gets to the top here, he's going to do a loop-the-loop, like that. And everywhere on that loop-the-loop, upwards is still upwards, no matter where he is on there. He's going to come back down at a steep angle, like this. And still, upwards is this way. He could fly after this loop-the-loop. He could fly in a curved down like this, and still upwards is this way. Everywhere along that curve, upwards is that way. And when he gets to the ground, upwards is upwards, same as it was before he ever took off. The next vehicle to take off is the rocket. The rocket is going to fly to the moon. So it takes off, and when it gets to here where they landed, because this side of the moon is always facing the earth, all the way up towards the moon, upwards was this way, upwards was that way. And when it got there, upwards was still that way. It wasn't towards the earth this way, which it would have had to have been if they landed on the moon. That's the side of the moon we see. They landed there, and upwards would be this way to them. Their heads would be upwards towards the earth. Well, it isn't. It's upwards here on the ground. It's upwards there. It's upwards there. At what point does it flip over? It doesn't. It doesn't matter what shape these vehicles were flying around. They could have been flying around the Empire State Building. They could have been flying around Mount Everest. It doesn't matter what forces you put in here. You could put Darth Vader in there and they could be flying around. They could be flying around anything, and up would always be upwards. You could even put the globe in there, which this circle now represents, if there was one. It would not affect any of these flight paths at all. Wouldn't matter what shape you put in there, or how big a shape you put in there, or what forces it had in there, or how much gravity you put in there, gravity cannot affect the fact that these vehicles flew and always upwards was upwards. So even if they flew around the globe, upwards is still upwards. And it is as simple as that, to realise you do not live on a globe. That the globe is impossible, cannot possibly be, because up is always upwards.